Welcome to Oilfield Talk. My name is Trey Faught, and I'm host of Oilfield Talk podcast. We want to speak with workers from all other aspects of the oil and gas industry and allow them the outlet to tell some crazy, amazing stories you just wouldn't believe are true. Not just the wildcats, the drillers, the roughnecks, the roustabouts, but the land-based, offshore drilling operations, service companies, vendors, third-party personnel, production, transportation, all aspects of the industry that provide expertise throughout the oil field. But each of these have many, many hilarious stories to share about their time in the oil patch. I have no doubt that we will be able to share entertaining stories or tell tall tales that anyone who works in the industry will appreciate and get a hearty laugh while listening. But this is also going to be a family podcast. We'll be able to invite our families at home to listen. Although they won't believe half the stories we share, they may have a couple of dozen questions. Maybe it will give them and everyone a greater appreciation of the jobs we have in the oil field and why we enjoy our oil field family for half a year. So please take an hour or so out of your day, give a listen to the Oilfield Talk podcast. Hope you enjoy the stories as much as I enjoy bringing them to you. Welcome back, everybody. There's been a lot of changes over the last few months between getting laid off, starting a new job, switching from 28 and 28 to 14 and 14 has actually thrown my timing off. When you worked for so many years and had 4 weeks off, it's kind of a strange shift only having 2 weeks off. So it really has affected a little bit of everything, especially the podcast itself. I've not been able to get back into a good recording swing, editing, the whole 9 yards. It's just been a weird couple of months. So I apologize for not getting episodes out as often as I should, but that's the shift we're having to make right now. And it will get better. It will improve. This has been one of the most difficult episodes to edit. And the reason is because you really need to see what he's talking about for it to make sense. So I've sat there and thought about this for weeks, trying to figure out how in the world am I going to do a podcast audio when we're needing to look at the visual references that we're talking about. So I jumped off with both feet and have started working on video editing alongside the audio. And that's been another complete challenge of skills that I don't have, that I'm having to learn. It's going to be rough and raw, but hopefully it'll make a lot more sense because you'll be able to see what we're talking about. I did take pictures and I do have some video, but Mr. Billy Sheffield is an amazing person, fabulous wealth of knowledge about Moonshine Hill and the history in that area around Humble, Texas. I've been looking forward to getting this one out. It's just been a challenge technically for me to do something that I've just never done before. So apologies again. If you are listening to this podcast, probably be a good idea to go over to the Oilfield Talk YouTube page and watch this episode, because at least it'll have some of the pictures that we're talking about, that we're referencing while we're listening to Mr. Billy tell his story. I know it would help you to get a better understanding of, exactly what we're talking about. And he has some amazing things in his collection. Appreciate him inviting me over and sharing a couple of hours. This is going to take a couple of episodes. He has so much stuff and so much knowledge, but it was a great time we had. Hope you enjoy it. Mr. Billy Sheffield and Moonshine Hill was a boom town. Was an early boom in East Texas. And he has a great perspective. Thanks for listening to Oilfield Talk. Good afternoon.
Well. I didn't know you was all here.
I just got here. I couldn't make the turn. I'm sorry. I pulled up in your front yard.
Hey, that is fine. And here is a way, instead of trying to back out, I'll show you. I think that you can just turn to the left, go down by this building and go out that driveway.
I saw that. I was going to ask.
Yeah.
Or I can back it up into that driveway. So either way. Hang on. Let me put this on you real quick.
Hey.
Just a little microphone.
Hey.
Just going to stick it like that.
Oh, mercy.
And like...
You got one
this.
too.
I have one too.
Yeah, you do. And Oilfield Talk, how did you get involved in all this?
I started it myself.
And how do you set up?
Hey, there's the truck. So that's my trailer. It's actually a podcast studio inside.
And so you do this for a living?
Well, no, I actually work offshore in oil and gas.
You told me.
But this is a hobby that I want to turn into.
What does it say on the door?
That says Nomad Mobile Productions. So that's
Nomad.
Yes, sir. Because I'm a nomad. I just go from place to place. I wander.
Yeah.
I visit with people, and I don't have to be anywhere at any time. I'm a nomad.
Hey, I got you. Well, you ready to go out back?
Wherever you want to go, whatever.
Let's go this way. Well, come here. We'll stop right along here.
All right.
I'll show you some pictures out back where a building I was born here, 1931. There was old houses in the oil field. Years later, this home was built for us. My father moved here in 1915 from Groveton. Had my mother and 5 children there, and she came down in 1916. Anyway, here on this place, Daddy farmed it, and he had mules and teams that he worked the county with. There's a town over here, Crosby, and one way off over here, Katy, that's Harris County, and he supplied the mules, a group of mules. He had barbed wire pins all along every so often, and he had harnessed them up. They called it can to can't. They worked 12 hours.
That's right.
And
they break the target.
And at daylight, he had them harnessed, and night he unharnessed them, fed them. And anyway, here, in my family, as my dad and mother was young, some way he gave her a nickname instead of saying honey or darling or something. He called her Squaw, and the children put Squaw Baby on it. And this was the Squaw.
That's why it says Squaw Baby Ranch.
Yeah, that
All
was
right.
yeah. So that was the way. And as a little kid growing up, they called her Squaw Baby, and if you really wanted something, you'd get back and say Mama, and you'd get what you wanted. In that old house, I'll show you a picture. It was real strange. In the oil field in those days, they were called single wall houses. They wasn't double wall.
So had Moonshine Hill been discovered by 2015?
Yeah, big time.
Okay.
I'll show you a few pictures.
And he purchased this land?
Back in, well, I was born here. See, you know about drilling.
Yes, sir.
Right here, if we stop here, those are roller bits on top of that.
I sure do.
The one in the middle is Hughes. The small ones on side are Reed. And that's 6 and 8-inch drill bits. There's a place, Cornstalk Hotel in New Orleans, they was redoing it. And I down there years ago, and these are real threaded arrows on the top.
I see it, yeah.
I got that. Well,
that Hughes bit changed drilling.
Hey, I don't have them now. They ended up being scrap iron. When they did away with this, they called them a whipstock. A blade this one way, and the water come down the side out of that drill bit. And years later, whenever I was still in high school, they would drill little holes and put carbon on there. Even they called them diamond bits. I never saw no diamond. I built this building because they'd been here 100 years, and over here is a turning plow, and there's the middle buster. And these seats got a bunch of them, old combine and displayed. And these came out of our town years and years ago. They changed the fire plug, so nationwide every fire truck would fit everything.
Right.
And these were a new one. Whenever I was a kid, drafted into service, this meant something to me then, but they're gone now. We had the train station, dolly run around and pull these, that was your luggage, on those things.
Oh, I see it, yeah.
Yeah, see? Yeah. And here that was a big time thing then. So
these are all pull behind for hay?
Yeah. Now, hay rakes.
Yep.
Everything was oilfield lumber. That was the stool that we had in a bathhouse out here. You see how the oilfield lumber?
Yep, it's all
how thick it is and how wide. There was no 1x6, 2x6. Everything was 3x12 and 3x14.
You know, they needed the strength.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, of course, the oil just soaked up on the oil,
yeah. These
Texas pine, the wood.
Yes, sir. It's just regular pine. I have a collection of rocks that don't mean a lot to everybody, but every one of these things are different. An old guy, rock collector. I've got his other stuff out in the back. What we'll have to do, see, these were, kids like to come and ring. This is hard to ring. It's off balance. Anyway, Easter's all they wore that thing. Now this store, I don't have a key to it. We'll have to walk around. Whenever I was a kid, we had 3 of these in the back of our store. They was all coal oil and kerosene.
Oil and kerosene.
And I never did. It was only the colored people that used them for lamps out just west of town. I was always told, and I knew, one of them, coal oil or the kerosene, would smoke more in that lamp than the other one. That was about the main thing.
Coal oil.
Yeah.
Smoked.
Yeah.
Kerosene was a clean burn.
That high school downtown on Higgins, where I was the 9th child to graduate from there, when they restored it, they left the same brick building, but they had double insulated fancy windows. These were the windows.
Original single pane.
Yeah. Wow. And what they did, they'd pull one down and one up, and air would circulate. That was our air. Didn't know any different. That was way before air conditioning.
Didn't exist.
Yeah. Oh, hell, I don't know. I'm goofy. That string touched me, and I was ready to jump.
Thought it was a bug.
I did. Thought it was a bug.
A few hinges there.
Hey,
and number 3 wash tubs.
Hey, a few of them. Yeah. Yeah. Didn't have any place. These were our used. Hinges.
All the gates around.
Whenever I was a kid in high school, my senior year, I'd bought a T model 29 for $20, and I drove it all over. It only had one light, and those springs there are not out of a T model. There was a very strange thing. My father was in the ice business before I was born, and it was T models. Before the Model A came out, you had front wheels and back wheels and an arch spring.
Between the front wheels?
From the wheels and the back wheels.
Oh, wow.
Well, that ice truck would turn over. And by the time 31 came, they put it from the spring.
Front and rear.
Yeah. It from this one, you had two springs in front that arched over the axle, and the ice didn't turn over. Yeah.
And this is what they...
Single tree and double tree.
Picking up ice, wasn't it?
Yeah.
They hang a hook here?
No, no.
Oh.
This, when you pull in two mules, this fit in the tongue of the wagon. One mule here and here in the harness, yeah. And anyway, I've got to put this thing down.
Wow.
I'll go turn on lights back there, in front. And it'll give us a little more vision of what we to look at. But half these light bulbs out. I had over 90 people here for Easter. The place was full. Excuse me a second, I'm going to open this door for air. Yeah. One thing I didn't explain on this front, this place was called Moonshine Hill, and on this swing, it says Moonshine Hill. Moonshine is all one word. Things you're looking at above your head was my mother's quilting frames. And then when we was there in town.
Piece of wood right there.
Yes, sir. That's wood. Those are quilting frames. They got a little clamp.
They support it. They hang it.
Yeah.
To do the quilting.
And early days, whenever I was a kid, we had drive-in theaters.
Yes, sir.
And way back here, you have to get around there on the back shelf. There's 4 of those speakers, 5 of them. Then,
I remember the ones that hang on the window.
Yeah, that's the 5 of them right there. There's 5 of them.
I went to one drive-in theater 3 or 4 times before they did away with them.
Yeah, well, just looking at stuff, you can come this way, it's kind of, these are true, my mother's sewing machines. They still got her original stuff in there. Everything was original of hers. And
my grandmother was a master seamstress.
Yeah.
And I grew up under sewing machines.
Yeah. Well,
she had several of these old manual.
Yeah. I'll start right over here just a second. Let me see where.
There's a train light down there on the floor.
Yeah, hey, it is. Hey. Now, This is Moonshine Hill. This is where I was born, in that front room.
Point there again?
Right there in that front room.
Wow.
And
that's almost where we're standing right now.
It is when you walked up that sidewalk, that was where the front room was.
Wow.
Now, before I was born, when I was born, I was already uncle 3 times. Did you see how many old Erics is here?
I do.
This is Moonshine Hill Road. And whenever I was a kid, and all the way till the war was over, there was only 3 telephones out here. We had one, a German family of Bubendorfs, and down here was the famous beer joint. You see these big oil tanks? There were 24 of them.
I do.
They moved them to Wallaceville Road when they built the dam here on Sanderson River in '54. But now something that was famous here is the church house. I'll show you some other pictures. A non-denominational church. And I thought it was really something when I was a teenager going, but my older brothers and sisters that was even out of college by the time
So y'all actually attended church there?
Hey, I did. My father, though, was after all we do kids programs
Right.
Saturdays and stuff. My father was a deacon of a Baptist church there in Humble, but right here you can hardly see it. There's the road coming out of town, going around here to this building. It was the reason they built it concrete. One of the first roads, the longest road, Dallas, Texas, had Cowtown, they called it. The next longest concrete. Down on the train track, big boilers. Everything was done by steam. Big oilfield boilers. And they'd get 20 mule teams would be pulling them, get stuck. Well, here they could bring them out on here, and
On
it was a
road.
short distance over. Now, if you'll notice...
So I'm looking at your house and you have a fence around it. So is that all of your acreage that your father had at the time?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. But here is, you see how far away from the house the outdoor toilet is?
Yes, sir.
And look over here.
Right.
Every one of them is way back out of way from their house.
Yep.
Everywhere at. See how far them toilets are?
Yep.
In fact, on this place... in 19, this is true how late it was 1943 when the first septic tank was set in Moonshine Hill, and my dad did it. And they had, there's a cement slab I have out here. They had a thing after the Depression called the PWA that kept people working and stuff, and they built those. Built the toilet. Do you see these? Look at these picket fence. How you made your own pickets. That's where you go cut stobs. See here, that keeps hogs and cows in, not chickens.
Right.
But just look at the wells. Right here is Sanderson River. Right here is the back, and
how many derricks on this picture?
Oh,
have you counted?
Hey,
I mean, I'm trying.
This is on. Wow. They were looking behind. They was this way right here. I lived in town. This salt water had killed every vegetation, and you could.
The salt water from.
If you look here, look for all the trees. Do you see one?
No, that's it.
You see any? Anywhere?
One here.
That's just that real underbrush. Oh. Well. My boys, I got a little girl, 71, little boy, 75, and 72.
And you're 92.
Yeah, hey, way off in the distance by the high school over yonder is where I live. And my little boys, two of them, at that time they was about 8 and 6, I guess. My wife sat on the front porch there, and my mother over here watching so the cows didn't get her. There was not a tree or an underbrush there. This place was, salt water killed everything, you see. And in 54, no longer you couldn't produce a well. There's still plenty of oil here, but you get about 60 to 80% salt water. You have to dispose of it. Well,
it's toxic.
Pump 10 barrels out of the ground, and you got 90 barrels to pump back in the ground. There was no profit to it.
Right.
I'll get a little bit of junk. These pictures here, but this was just oil field pictures. I can get better pictures for you.
I'm not visual. I'm actually more audio.
Yeah.
So hearing the stories.
Okay, now here.
Amazing.
No, this is not. This was just an oilfield town picture. In town, where you was walking around, there's a humble cafe. It was the Pangburn that was this lady's son, Granny Pangram's son, that went and built that. And these were very common looking buildings during the oil field out here.
Very simple.
Yeah.
A-frame structure with just some boards on the side, to keep the wind out, and probably zero insulation.
Hey, now this is just a picture. This is Spindletop was Beaumont, but this is what it looked like.
That's after Spindletop? At Spindletop?
This is, what does it tell you?
Moonshine Hill.
In Spindletop.
Yep. So Humble or Moonshine Hill was discovered after Spindletop. Was it the next large find in Texas, or was it like third or fourth?
Okay.
I don't remember the order.
Now, Spindletop, Beaumont.
Yes.
Kilgore was a Cracker Jack. Other ones. Kilgore, I think it was, I was thinking in first, it was Moonshine Hill, then Spindletop. But it's Spindletop and then Moonshine Hill. Wow. Kilgore, it is one heck of a place for all. Kilgore majorettes, the colleges and all of that for all that time. Now, around the corner over here was an old guy, H.C. Schott. He, my family knew him before. He had a grocery store. Well, it was Prohibition days. He had a liquor store. And these are just pictures of old saloon.
I just saw the saloon that's back there right now. I don't think, it may not be at the same location.
Where, around here?
Yeah, I took a little loop around just to see.
When I was a youngster, the very famous place was the beer joint over here. My pasture is like this. There's an opening, and then the corner was a beer joint. We had a program in Houston called the Houston Buffs, the Buff Stadium. They tore it down when we built Highway 45. There's still a Finger Furniture Company near that location that took artifacts and restoring the memory. And but here is, now there's a big building downtown, Humble Cafe, the Pangburn Building, 1914. This is her, and that's the son that built it. That was just around the corner. This is they'd have a big Waukesha engine here, idle wheel and big belt, and everything was run and to offside jack lines that go to each side. Underneath here, this pivots two different ways. So you can, and the thing of it, my brother was very successful. What he'd do, here's his power plant. He'd drill one well here and one here. That way, when he got the rig running, this would be down and that would be up per power. He'd have 10 wells. He'd have 5 over here and 5 here. Once he got that old pop running, they just kept pulling that thing, and they just kept
one rocker arm was able to.
It just kept pulling that wheel. That's true. Now in this loop here, this was all still here when that was a very famous place. That's Texas Company oil tanks and oil field right there, back there. Now then, back over here, I showed you earlier, someplace right there is the church house. Well, here is the church house. And some of my older family deceased a lot of years, but see, everything was all there.
Still see the derricks behind the church.
Now here was the road.
They moved the town to the oil field.
Yeah.
They didn't.
When that cement ended over there was right here, it went around to the church house. If you look, this steeple is the top of that church house right there, here. But now that was 1900, and that's what I owned right there. That's the car. Vehicle. Yeah, I paid $20 for it. Next, across another highway over here, now they call it some beltway, but it was a Tuscaloosa road, a gravel road. On that was a schoolhouse that It was called the Singleton School. There's one lady that comes out here that's still living, and she said she never did live too close. She walked about a mile to school, but everybody else come, 6 or 8 miles. They'd ride. This is where you kept your jenny or your mule underneath the
family mule that you took to school.
Yeah. But that was the Singleton Schoolhouse, and a famous beer joint that was on this corner was the Maul Gilbert. And the thing of it, the war started December the 7th, 1941. And due to that, I was 10 years old. And women didn't go in the beer joint. Till then, the only thing I'd ever seen women do is wear a dress. The war started, and they worked shipyard. There was December the 7th of 41. It was on the radio, and we had a big old RCA Victor, and the war declared it from Pearl Harbor. My dad and family, all of them, truthfully, I was a kid, just where in the hell is Pearl Harbor? No one, is it down by Florida or California or Galveston? Just where is that? In our history books, you hadn't done Hawaii and islands to them as they grew up. Well, right away that became famous, but the United States has used it.
Territory.
You know how many ships that was sunk and what all's there? I've been there half a dozen times, go out and walk the walkways.
I saw today the last survivor from the Arizona passed away.
Hey, I saw that. I did. I did.
So that was the end of the survivors from that.
When I was a kid, the war with France ended in 1819. And in town, the man that started our phone company was Vester Kirsch and Carly, and there was my father didn't go because he had already too many children in 19. And anyway, when the war started, Dad had just got a new 38 Chevrolet in 41. He came. They was all asking, me and a little brother went into a barbershop, and they're sitting there talking. And the way they talked back then, they just broken language. Just where in the hell is that town of Pearl Harbor? The way they were saying.
That's right.
Me and my older brother listening to it. Well, at the end of that main street's the railroad track. Right then the depot was there, and everything was very old. A hill went down to the San Jacinto River. Way back then, they called the Tree Army CCC camp. Well, down the hill was 5 buildings, and the 5th one in the middle was the dining hall. And so this was December the 7th, and it was about the night. I was in town with my dad, and went to the railroad track. All of these guys, they were calling for Roosevelt was calling for a volunteer. All these boys get on this train, on top, on side, and all, taking off, go to San Antonio.
Hanging off.
Volunteer.
Yep.
Because they were, hundreds
Instead of planting trees, they were going to war.
Yeah, and hey, this was true. I got to see that, but I didn't know what else CCC camp and all that meant.
It was part of the Depression era employment program,
Yes,
Roosevelt put together.
Yes, sir. But then, right there in Humble, was stuff for the museum. I'll have to go out back and show you. We had a narrow gauge rail came in here from Houston up to about 60 miles across the river. And it was narrow gauge. Those are just old Humble signs. those are extremely old right here, these fans.
I was looking at this long stick.
Hey, all of that's got all in it.
It's got metal on the ends. It's like
Hey, everything. Anyway, those are extremely old fan motors, and this old typewriter.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to disturb your story.
Anyway, around the corner over yonder, that Humble Cafe, I was already showing you once over here, but that was Granny Pangburn, and that was right around the corner. That was Mama's friend, and her son went to town and went down to the river, made their own blocks, and built that own building. Wow. Now then, here was just another picture of Moonshine. Here's, their grocery store. That was right around that corner over there. That was the grocery store where they shopped. And in here is just old stuff. This is the true thing my mother used for a coffee grinder. And
grind the beans.
And these are all
toasters. Electric toasters.
Yeah. And right here, I got out of the service in '52, and I was first drafted in the 8th Naval Reserve District from New Orleans to El Paso. First time they drafted Marines. Anyway,
you were a Marine.
I are a Marine. Yeah. I got super jobs. Office work in San Francisco, never lived on a base. I did during boot camp. And Ike came to town and honored all of us because we was the first drafted Marines. And over here...
My dad is a Marine also.
He was?
Yes, sir.
Well, I was a Marine by accident. Hey, I went to work at Baker, and I was learning a lot of stuff, and I was about 22.
Baker Hughes?
Baker Hughes.
Okay.
It was Baker all through 36 years.
At the time, wow.
And anyway, you could do what was called sweat, and buckle this silver dollar. And then what you do, I used to go several places and buy rolls of silver here
to make the backs.
And you take a little chisel and chisel it and solder silver solder back.
Wow.
All of them are the same date. They were worth about $20 till I screwed them up. Now they ain't worth nothing.
Mm-hmm. You made a belt out of it.
Yeah, and then these are all buffalo nickels here.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And then this strap here goes to that thing.
Chair, yeah.
Anyway, I showed you old Pleasant Humble. Now, we had a famous sawmill in Humble before the oil. That was Bender. Well, they had, they took out the narrow gauge with the larger gauge in, and I forget what it was, early in 1912 or 10. Anyway, the saw blade, there's a fellow that the bridge is named after. He was a school teacher. I met him one time in town, and I had just retired, a cancer patient. I took him about 3 times to a place, Ben Taub, in Houston. And on the way back, they had started a place over here called Bender Square, right down through where the old sawmill was.
Right.
Well,
was the mill closed?
Oh, it had been closed before, when he was a child. Anyway, it had all the cement foundation, and down in the ground, that one big saw blade was about 60 feet long. And, they run powered. Anyway, a lot of that was laid in the ground, and a world of that narrow gauge rail had been put into the foundation of that building. That old man was that sick. I brought him in from Ben Taub. He walked out there and got some of the saw blade, and you wiggle it long enough, it'd break. Yeah. And he was a sick old man, and that's what he got out of the ground.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Well, that was such a wonderful thing, but I got quite a few other pieces that he broke. That here was a famous doctor in Humble.
I saw his picture in the museum.
Well, this is done by a pencil. A lady does that and give it to me. That's a pencil. And this is full size. This I wanted. I was having a fella going to put leather in there. Two old church house women just screamed at me. Said, "This is original. That other is not original. Don't you dare tear that thing apart." So I didn't. And you had...
so this is the baby seat, right?
No, every child had to sit up here.
Well, that's what I mean. The child, the kids seat.
Yeah, up till about 8 or 9 years old. Yep. They're too short here. Yep. Yeah. And you see this. This was 1916 when the party was.
2016.
2016. But all of this is an original stuff I put up. And these tubes like that can hook and all of these were original stuff from my dad. And I have, from this window over here, stuff that wouldn't really matter. We had a man in town now that's it was just a ranch out yonder. Now it's a monstrous addition. Fellow named Benny Weed. We had a Huntsville prison rodeo, and then a Beaumont, and one more, not Liberty. Anyway, this guy was the pickup man for those rodeos. He had died a number of years ago, but he was a famous pickup man for rodeos. His wife and I was on a tour group going to Canada, coming back. She came back, and after that trip, she brought me his ropes here, and this was his whip. These were true old charms, but these things here are still, look there. These are true. This is just like they left them. Look at their glasses. Yeah, everything in there. See, if you went down
circa what, 1920s, 1930s?
Yeah. Hey, my mother made every bit of our clothes. Look at here.
Bobbins.
What is that?
Buttons.
Buttons. But that was my mother's stuff. And there's 3 of these things. Now this one, I don't know what it is. That's...
Presser feet.
Yeah, that's... And see, all that's old. A lot of that... now, you know what this is. You go buy shoes,
yes, sir.
And he'd sit here and tie your shoes on. Everybody, there was a joke whenever I was a teenager about, well, if you do well, you can be a shoe salesman. And then women, you get set here. And she raises her leg up here.
Right.
Yeah. And you know what all these junks are? Can hooks, yes, and...
another grinder.
Yeah. Yeah.
All the locks and all the old keys.
Yeah. Now, I had two boys. Skeet is you turn it.
Oh.
Wow. If you know how, it'll really go. Now, every wagon, everything on the wagon, it fit. It fit the nut, and there was 3 other bolts in a wagon. And when I was a kid, we had all kind of locks like that one they used. Now, my boys, the youngest boy here, he was FFA president, and that was his first tractor. And these guns belonged to the kids and other children of at that time. When me and you were standing in front of that building where they're taking all them pictures,
yes, sir.
It was called the Humble Pharmacy. And in there, that was a famous place. Well, when they built the airport and the malls, I went up there and I got all these tubes come out of that Humble Pharmacy.
These are the original?
They came, yes, sir. And that had been built by a guy that ended up being our governor. Ross Sterling built that building. what he did, he built, he had designed, he and another man, Humble streets. It had just been rambled around house all directions. Well, they laid out a street by the blocks, north, south, east, and west, and a main street. And he was building that building, and he and two other men, Rolf Sterling, Dr. Bennett. Anyway, three men decided to get a warrant and charter to start a Masonic lodge. Well, when they did, what he did, he built that building above the pharmacy without any windows in it, and that was the lodge.
The lodge was upstairs and the pharmacy was
979. I have a 50-year pin from that place. Anyway, he ended up right here being the governor. He, out of nothing, he started a company, Humble Oil. There wasn't nothing on the ship channel. It was swampland. And I was in the 7th grade. You couldn't go to Houston to go across ship channel. There was only two ways, way before Washburn Tunnel and stuff. You'd go down to M&M building, cut and go down the main streets, Harrisburg, and go into Pasadena. Went out to a little building out there. It was Humble Oil, and they was explaining, oil and viscosity to teenagers. We hardly knew what they were talking about, but I got to do that. Now, in here, hey, that's something that's dang good. Let me hold it.
It really is.
Hey, I hadn't even told you that. Hey,
I just
Ross
spotted it.
Sterling, the governor.
Yes, sir.
Hey, this is his perfect handwriting right there.
Oh, wow.
Look, that's 100 shares of Humble stock that was canceled. Where's the date on there? Look, here's the date, 26. March.
It was canceled here.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
Stamped canceled.
Yeah.
That's when they actually got it.
That's
when it was
yeah,
issued.
Yeah, and he issued it because he was.
And his Humble Oil business was here.
Hey, he started the Humble Oil Company right here. But see,
Were these your shares? Your father's shares? Or do you know the history of them?
I used to have money. I went to auction and threw a chunk of money. That piece of paper cost crazy. Yeah, I did.
You wanted it. You wanted the official?
Well, hell, no one else got one of them.
Well, I don't know. How many shares did they issue?
Well, there's one.
$25 per share. Look at that.
Yeah, and 100 shares.
Yep. And in 26, that was a good bit of money.
Hey, I wasn't born till 31.
Wow.
Hey, you know what this is? My mother and granny used them all the time. Hair curlers. You'd stick it in the lamp and
warm it up
and curl your hair.
Wow.
In the back, yeah. And
Prince Albert in a can.
Hey, oh yeah. Hey, I want to tell you what, we had about teenage, yeah, that thing was real smart right there. There was a little girl about 12 years old, picked this thing up.
A bugle?
Oh, she entertained, there was Easter eggs out there over here. She could blow. Hey, this is true damn thing. If 1917, 18 was, let me get it right. Hey, that was the smart thing. That was. I don't.
In a grocery store.
Yeah.
But look at that. It's in 3 kilograms. Look at that.
Yeah.
I mean, we weren't using the metric system.
Hey, I know.
I wonder where that, originated.
Right here, oldest brother got out of high school and wanted to leave the oil. He went to Kilgore. That was, to dieball. That was the big Texas longleaf pine. This is out of one tree. He come home, built my, way before I was born, my mother, the bar that was in our kitchen is still 13 and a half foot long. So I saved it from the old house and put it here. Got a sink in here. And down through here, I have several of these in the house, real old
clocks.
I went off to Canada on a trip, and I had the best collection of antique oil signs in this country. They was all sold professionally. The big, I had the big mobile sign with the dinosaur on it.
Right.
The big 6 Texaco. Guff, the early, hey, the only thing
signs?
they didn't steal is that little thing there, that little umble, and this one here. I had them all over the country up here. Now, down through.
Catch them?
Oh, hell no.
Oh.
You see, it's hard to be humble, but but anyway, were you old enough to remember cans when you had to open them?
Yes, sir.
Double.
Key?
Well, yeah, come here and look. Way down there, there's slits, jacks.
Right.
Bud, and this says pearl right there.
Wow.
Yeah. And you
Now, I never remembered the beer cans that you had to puncture. Not
you
the
did,
beer.
hey.
No. I remember the old metal top.
Yeah, hey.
But we still had like oil, had a sealed can, and we had the key, right?
Hey, yes, sir. Yes,
So-
sir. Yes. And here, when I was a kid, service stations would sell peanuts, and that was Tom's Peanut. And that was a write-up something for me.
That's on you.
Uh-huh.
Wow.
Yeah,
Let me see if I can
1931.
try to get the glare away from it.
Yeah. And these weapons were some family. One of them up there is a 242, I believe is what you call it. And anyway, I killed one deer in my life. But these up here, people brought stuff. These keys have so much history. I mean, some
There's
of
some
them.
of the keys
Hey,
I'm talking about.
there was an article wrote about these keys.
How many keys you had?
Yeah, no, but the different designs. See, there's them beer
Yes,
keys.
Yeah, I see them.
This a Mexican worked for me for years, restored this heater. That was the wood heater in our house. This is a famous sewing machine. You pop that thing out and it'll really these things up here were brought and given to me. That bird and this one here is supposed to be worth some real money. Now this, my grandfather, Justin Hurd Tull, fought in the Civil War. This is his flag. And see, this is a flintlock gun. The flint has fell out. And that is a Civil War. This is not the true powder thing, but you got a horn with a plug in it.
Horn, yes, sir.
Well,
But the bugle's original?
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Wow.
But here, this is something, in a minute, get over here close. A famous fella, that's done with a pencil too. His name is in that bottom right-hand corner.
Wendell N. Williamson.
Hey.
And it was drawn in 7 of 91.
You saw that doctor's picture back here? He did it too.
Yes, sir.
With a pencil.
Wow.
Now, I had all those signs, but something in the oil field was really unreal. If you can look from here to that wall up yonder, it says 18. Read below it.
4 acres, more or less.
By the time that I was in the middle of starting in my work in the oil field, computer had come out. And now, even water wells in Harris County, they design it in your backyard. They can tell you exactly how many feet it is from that corner to this corner and what deed and abstract it is, well, permit to drill that water well. Same way today with oil. But see, and the oil well, you drill one, they know to the pinpoint. But back then, it was somewhere in the neighborhood of there. And it like this one here, more than less.
86 acres,
86.
more or less.
Yeah.
Somewhere around that.
Yeah. Now, the war came and metal went to war.
Could not find scrap.
Here's the license plates. What you had to screw on here, a 1943. See there, that's it. What you screwed on here, something. Now, I didn't want these, but I have a grandson that he thought 1930 was old and 36. We had a 1936 successful centennial, and they built San Jacinto Monument down on the river, where right there where Santa Ana and them had the fight, where he surrendered, and that was it. The rest of it got broke off, and he thought 50s was old and all that.
So he wanted to collect them.
Yeah. Hey, while we're down here, but see, I've got about 30 of these things. Something is very strange. If you were looking here, down this, those are corn shellers, like 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, all of here. Those are cotton scales. Yep. Now,
counterweights. Yep.
The reason I was saying that, I got
big grind.
Hey, this one, believe it or not, will make chops. This one over here, no, well, that's in half. This one over here will do cornmeal, grind the same dang thing. There's things in here you have to get inside of them. But this was what Moonshine Hill looked like when my mother and daddy was here. Here's the church.
That's the church.
Yeah, and 1917 is what it says. Yeah, and hey, I'll let you get in there, get around in there, small look and all that. I can't remember, but way up on a scalpert is the most famous thing. At the very end back down there. I forget what they. It's the bullets, the pellet. Those. There's some type of rifle set.
Up there,
You know, this is putting boots on and all. Yeah. And that's a real expensive spur right there. Mm-hmm. When you come out, you get, these places are doggone small. Out here west of town, it was called Westfield, Germans, a big German town. This was Warnicke built, and it's still there. That's the way it was. This thing, that picture is old, damn near as old as me. And I save everything I have. Now come back this way, I got more. I want something important. That's my children's shoes.
Your children?
All three.
Wow.
You know, as they grew up.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, come down in here. You can get up here and look around. All of this, there's old Pancho Villa. And this is a famous old picture here. Now, who's the most famous one here? This is me in 1952. I was a corporal right there in the Marine Corps. That was, to me, wow. I did, more boot stuff in here.
Stirrups?
Yeah.
Golf club?
Yeah. And anyway, but my daughter that's 71, come here, I want to show you my baby shoes. You know, hell, they think that's something. And like I say, got 50 years ago, I recently got my 60 year in Scottish Rite. First, you had to be a Mason. And then my Shriner is about 62 years. And this, I only killed one deer. I was foreman at work, and they sent us down to Del Rio, Texas. It was 19 degrees. and I shot a deer, and a little bitty pocket knife, going to gut that thing. Finally, the Mexican come pick me up. But I saved that. My dad killed this.
Nomad Mobile Productions is a broadcasting and media production company that produces podcasts and provides a mobile podcast studio complete with audio and video recording equipment. We also offer post-production processing, editing, marketing, and publication for podcasts. Our mobile production studio will come to you. Visit our webpage, nomadmobileproductions.com, or our Facebook,